balance the terroir.
Yes.
Take my signature at any pharmacy in town and get it filled. Yeah, well, try 500 milligrams of this 3 times a day.
Besides brewing, there are other ways that other things that are important to getting coffee of this quality, and that is freshness and roasting technology, roasting in a certain way, and also sourcing the green coffee itself. And so one of the things we do is, we roast our own coffee. We get it to the stores within 24 hours of roasting. We have a roaster that is it's not unique, but it's very unusual, and the way we use it is probably unique. So that the difference in the roast that we get out of it is tastably different than the same coffee roasted to the same color by another roaster. And looking for the best quality coffee, when we started, we always said, we're going to find the best coffee and roast it fresh every day and sell it at a reasonable price. That's what I said in 1985. So I started traveling to Origin, to places where before we had just seen pictures of it. When we're there and we tell them what we want, and we are willing to pay for it, and then we're actually willing to make sure that the farmers did get paid for it, it makes a big difference. So we were able to get coffee even better than we were able to get originally, and the farmers were getting paid way more money, because by doing this, normally as a commodity, the coffee gets sold the price of the day. The farmers, if it's good coffee, bad coffee, price of the day. But if we're there and we're telling them we want premium quality, and they're doing it for us, and then we're paying them for it, it's not the price of the day. It's way more than the price of the day, and they certainly appreciate it. And then the result is the kind of coffees that we can bring you on a level that's even better than we're able to do before. Colombia is actually a very difficult coffee to get a very difficult country to get good quality coffee from, because since it grows so much, but most farmers are small, everything gets mixed. Everything gets mixed. So in order to get coffee, you're getting a blend of a couple of dozen farmers worth of coffee. So if 11 farmers do great coffee and one farmer does medium or lousy coffee, it's going to affect the entire lot. So what we were doing is we went down to Colombia and we started cupping all the coffees before the farmers sold them, before it was put into a big lot. And we started grading them, and then we started paying the farmers a sliding scale based on how good they were. And of course, we have a very high standard. So our minimum coffee, I don't know if anyone's heard of the Cup of Excellence, but there's an international organization that rates coffees and then puts them on international auction, and they have a rating system from 0 to 100, and the minimum to make the auction is 84. And usually, out of the entire production of the country that gets submitted, anywhere from 20 to 30 coffees make that cut. The minimum level that we buy at is 84. So, and we go up from there. And so the farmer's got to be good, and we pay very big premiums for this. And the farmers want to do it, and because if they can make it, they make a lot more money. And if it's better than 84, 85, we pay more. We have 4 more levels. So when we first started the program, we were paying about 50% over the price of the day, and the highest level we were paying was about 80% higher. So not only did the farmers want to participate, but they wanted to do better because it meant a lot more money.
When you're buying from a roaster, I think it's real important to realize you're in effect hiring a QC organization. You're hiring someone to find, detectives to find the coffee. There are so many problems in quality control too throughout the coffee industry. It's just normal. I'll give you an example. When I was visiting a roaster up in the Portland area not too long ago, and he'd taking a little bit of green beans out of giant sacks that had been delivered, and he was going to samples that he had in a file drawer of the sample that he based his sale of buying that coffee off of, to compare them to make sure they were the same. So it's sort of like he wanted to make sure that they were sending him exactly the coffee that he had sampled, and that they matched. And he does sample roast of each, you know, to each of these samples. There's so much of that that is really difficult, and not to get too much into the problems of the trade, but ultimately there are issues for consumers that you consider when you're buying a coffee. What you're buying, ultimately, it's like, and I'm in business, you're buying integrity. You're buying integrity of the person, and their ability to taste and make sure the quality is there. It's not just buying a country any more than it's like anybody going to a music store recently and say, I had just like an English album, you know, or I'd like some Indian music. You know, people don't do that. I mean, that's silly. I mean, so we're buying a Colombian coffee, but we're also buying now, and of course the great thing is you can buy a neighborhood coffee. You can buy a coffee from Colombia. It's from a specific farm. That goes into areas of direct trade, which I tried to explain in a very simple way in the book. The direct trade is, you know, buying directly from farmers. It's the way you want to buy it. You can. The same way I am in the summer. I like to buy the strawberries from a farmer that I know that I used to have had the best strawberries I've ever had. There's something he does. Same thing with coffee.
The direct trade versus, say, fair trade. Fair trade is paying farmers a living wage for their product. The direct trade generally is based on a quality, paying for quality. And what we do is definitely paying for quality.
I would advocate, by the way, and we have a web series right now almost about this issue, but about direct trade. And direct trade, I think, is, fair trade sounds great, and I'm not dissing it. It's better than not fair trade. But fair trade really turns into a few cents more per farmer sometimes. And watch out for labels anyway, and I do address this in the book. You know, organic versus, you know, there's some of these labels that are overused. Some of the there are coffees in the world, parts of the world where they can't afford certification. Small family farms that do everything right, and therefore they can't be labeled that, but they're still great coffees and still treat their people ethically. Meanwhile, direct trade, the advantage of direct trade, and I have a quote from a coffee co-op that I went to Guatemala, and these people do direct trade, and they said, gee, if we could put direct trade into a soundbite, it's fair trade pays farmers a couple of cents more, but we pay 2.5 times what the best fair trade is. So, you know, and that it is a question of paying people a fair wage. You don't want to work for a fair wage. I do. I'm sure everybody does. And there's an equitability of it, and there's a point which you've got to understand farmers can only afford to do the right things in farming so I think that it's not only a moral issue, it's just someone who has the intelligence to understand that. People like Oren and others have long-term perspective about that. By the way, we were talking about the vacuum maker, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. There's a very good demonstration of vacuum coffee brewing in this videotape, which Oren, by the way, demonstrates the chemics in it, if you haven't seen it. Shot in his own. Anything else?
No. You're welcome to sample more.
Welcome to sample more.
Coffee.
Ask questions. I've had several cups of coffee. I'll be here till 11 or 12.